everybody. How are you doing? And welcome to another episode of Security Nuggets podcast. I'm your host, Ashley, and as always, I'm very happy to see you here. Welcome. Today, we delve right into a critical topic in security risk management, which is outsourcing and procuring of security services and equipment. Now, this is a common practice in most organizations because one of the goals for organizations is to secure the working environment as well as securing critical assets. And for us to be able to do that in organizations, we definitely need to implement security measures. And whereas we might be able to optimize on our own internal systems and what we have to do that, sometimes we are required to outsource. We are required to contract from out there. We are required to buy from out there. And hence the topic of procuring and outsourcing. And I'm hoping to share a lot in this as we move forward so that we can create as much awareness as possible and be able to make sure that we are doing it right. We are doing it right. Whether you do this from the security department, the human resource department, the finance or procurement department, however the procurement process is structured within your organization, just having that awareness gives you the advantage and the knowledge and know-how of just making sure that whatever you're doing it at the best interest of your organization. Now, organizations find themselves outsourcing security services and equipments for different purposes, okay? Probably there's a scope within an organizational task, an organization operation, activity, or an organization project. The scope could be within the organization phase of implementation, different phase of implementation. Maybe it is within initiation, it is within continuous operation, or it is within finality. Maybe you're ending the scope. It's coming to an end. It's in its own exit point, all right? And with every phase of execution comes with unique challenges security-wise. So maybe your organization is outsourcing security services and equipment so that you can be able to tackle threats aligned to whatever phase that your organization is in, okay? Now, when we are outsourcing services and equipment, there are goals that we must aim to achieve. One of the goals is we must aim to make sure that whatever services and equipment we are outsourcing meet the intended goal, okay? Whatever threat scenario that we are looking at, we are mitigating against, when they are installed or when they are brought on board, they match that threat. They meet the requirements to tackle that threat. That should be one of the goals. Now, for instance, when we are talking of technical equipment, you may be able to understand the technical description of a particular security equipment. How does it meet the requirement specification for the intended purpose where it is supposed to be deployed? How does it meet the intended purpose? So you should be able to translate that, the technical description against the required specification. For instance, I'll use a surveillance system, okay? I'll use CCTV as an example to make a point in regards to that. You probably want to outsource CCTV equipment for detection purposes, okay? Let's assume you want to have the CCTV surveillance system installed within your perimeter. just so that you can be able to detect any human activity or human movement within that point, so that you can be able to detect and monitor any breaches within your perimeter in your organization, okay? Now, when you're outsourcing, you need to be outsourcing cameras that will be able to capture a field of view of, say, 10% of the screen height of that human figure. So you should be able you should be looking for cameras that can have that field of view, okay? That when you install that camera, when you're monitoring on your display devices, you will be able to capture the human figure detected at 10% height on the screen, okay? Another example, you probably want to outsource a surveillance system so that you can be able to deploy them at the main entrance for purposes of recognition. You want to be able to recognize vehicles coming in and out your organization. And the purpose of recognizing vehicles is you not only want to recognize the vehicle colors and models, you want to get the number plates, the vehicle number plates, and most likely the drivers in the vehicles, okay? So you want to make sure that the field of view, the cameras you install at that area, they have a field of view of about 60%, so that you can be able to have a human figure displayed at 60% at the screen height, okay? Now, the field of view, the camera field of view is determined by the lens, or what you can also call the camera chip. It's also determined by the lens focal point, as well as the positioning of the camera in regards to the area, in relations to the area that requires surveillance, okay? So these are the things that you need to familiarize yourself with, okay? So that you can get it right with the equipment, okay? And also, still under equipment, we want to make sure that we are meeting that compatibility aspect. We want to make sure that our employees who are going to be responsible for monitoring the equipment, they understand how that equipment works, all right, so that they can be able to use it, all right? So we have to look into the compatibility aspect. Are they going to require training for them to be familiar with the equipment, for them to be able to work with the equipment? So we need to look at compatibility. We also need to look at the integration, because most of the times when we are outsourcing these equipments, we already have others in place, and we want to make sure that they can integrate. Because ultimately, you may be wanting to automate your security systems. And the fact that they can be integratable is a big plus for you, because you're going to save up on money. You're not going to reinvest in other equipment that are compatible and can be integratable. You are going to get it right when that opportunity comes, and make sure that whatever you're outsourcing has potential to integrate with what you already have existing, or what you might want to install in future, okay? Because ultimately, a lot of organizations are looking into automating their security systems for efficiency purposes. And those are things that you need to look at. Still under the goal of matching the service and equipment you're outsourcing to intended goal, when you're looking at the human manpower, outsourcing human manpower, we need to be very careful in as far as the performance requirement is concerned. We need to lay out our performance requirements and expectations, so that when we are looking, we can be able to get the right fit. For instance, some of the performance requirements have to do with the training. What training are we looking for? What extent of training are we looking for? And is it going to be commensurate to the scenario at hand that warrants that service? So we need to look at that from a performance requirement point of view, the training capabilities. We also need to look at the performance capabilities in terms of how are we going to monitor the performance standards? How are we going to make sure that the service, the manpower service we outsource performs within our performance expectations? They are meeting the standards. How are we going to do that? So those are things you need to outline. And when you're outsourcing, you need to make sure that you're looking on all the performance indicators. You're looking at the training manuals of service providers. That way you can see how they are trained and the areas they target. You're looking at the SOPs. You need to know how is their SOP, the standard operating procedures, how well are they outlined? Are they modern or outdated? Because those also influence the performance standards of the human manpower you outsource. You also need to look at the pay package. When you're outsourcing, are you going to be are you going to make it mandatory that the manpower you're outsourcing are paid a minimum wage? All right. And if they are not, as an organization, are you going to be comfortable topping up the difference so that you can make sure that the manpower you've outsourced has met that minimum wage threshold? So those are the things that you need to look at so that ultimately you can make sure that the services or equipment that you have outsourced meet the target goal. They meet the threat. They meet the target threat at hand, the scenario, the situation of the threat at hand, okay? So that you're not having any misalignment there, because trust me, you don't want to go through the whole process just to make sure that you got it wrong and whatever you outsourced is not working for you. It's not meeting its intended goal, okay? You're going to have wasted a lot of time, resources, okay, money. So we need to get it right with that goal. The second goal that you want to be achieving in the procurement and outsourcing process is you want to make sure that the services and equipment that you're outsourcing meet the legal requirement. They meet the legal requirement, okay? Now, when it comes to outsourcing security services and equipment, these services fall under the Regulations Acts of Private Security Services and Equipments, all right? So depending on the country of operation, you need to look out for some of these regulations and get to familiarize yourself with what they say so that you can make sure that as much as you're outsourcing within the required legal parameters, okay? Now, for instance, I'll use a country like Kenya because that is my residency. We have a private security regulatory authority board that has put up very clear regulations and requirements, okay? And one of them, which is very new and it is in the process of implementation, is that all security officers in the country need to be licensed. They need to go through mandatory training and they need to be licensed. They need to have a guard license number, all right? So if you're looking into outsourcing services that have to do with manpower, then that is something you need to be cognizant of. You need to make sure that you're sourcing service providers who are meeting that regulation and legal requirement. And similarly, as well as equipment, okay? If you're in a state where there are regulations in regards to technical equipments, then you need to make sure that the service providers you're outsourcing have met that legal threshold. They have met that they have met that legal requirement, so that as much as you're outsourcing partners, and you don't have to worry about being in trouble in future, whereby you're using services or products or equipments that are not within the legal framework in your area of operation or in your state of operation, okay? Still under legal requirement, you need to make sure that the service providers you're outsourcing have what we call a contractual liability cover. when you're signing contracts with them, or when you're in the process of discussions and negotiation, you need to ask them if they have contractual covers, if they have outsourced contractual covers with insurance companies. And if they have, what's the limits of that contractual cover, and what is the extent of liability? Okay, those are things that you need to be very aware of. Now, as we move forward, in one of our episodes, we're going to be covering contracts, and we shall expound more on contractual liability. But it needs to be under the goals of meeting the legal requirements. It needs to be under that goal so that you can get it right in that essence as well. Thirdly, last but not least, we need to make sure that the services and equipment we are outsourcing are of value to the organization. They are of value to the organization, okay? And specifically, in terms of return on investment, okay? We need to make sure that when we outsource services and equipment in relations to security, they meet the return on investment threshold, okay? They are working within our budget, and whatever value we get from them makes it worth it for us to invest in them in the first place, okay? That way we are not running at a loss as an organization. It's actually very important. And obviously value comes with a seamless service delivery. We are not wasting our time as an organization firefighting security incidents, and we have service providers in place to help us with that, okay? Value comes with us being able to do our jobs, our core roles, okay? Because sometimes we are outsourcing service providers because we want to outsource expertise. We want to outsource security expertise because we are not experts in security. We are experts in what we are doing. Maybe we are in a manufacturing industry. We are experts in manufacturing. Maybe we are in the horticulture industry. We are experts in horticulture, all right? So we are outsourcing security expertise to deal with the headaches that come with security, okay? So if we still have to outsource and continue firefighting and dealing with the headaches that come with security in relations to threats and breaches and incidents, then we are really not getting the value. Okay, so just so the procurement process or the process of outsourcing is supposed to meet that goal where we are ensuring that the services and equipment we outsource meet the value. That's it for now, and I hope you have learned something of value. Kindly like, share, subscribe. I'll appreciate it. And until our next episode, goodbye for now, and thank you very much for watching.